The snow had been falling for 6 straight hours when Elena Marlowe found the stranger sitting on the steps outside her apartment. At first, she thought he was drunk. His head was bowed, his black coat dusted white, his shoulders trembling beneath the fabric. One hand rested against the brick wall as though it was the only thing keeping him upright. Elena almost walked past him. She should have. She had $11.40 in her bank account, an eviction notice folded inside her purse, and exactly 3 cans of soup left in her kitchen. Helping strangers was a luxury she could no longer afford. But as she reached for the door, the man whispered something. "Please." Elena stopped. She slowly looked back. His face was partly hidden beneath wet black hair. Snow clung to his eyelashes. His lips had lost most of their color. "Are you okay?" He gave a weak laugh. "Do I look okay?" Under any other circumstances, Elena might have laughed. Instead, she noticed the way he was holding his side. Then she saw the dark stains spreading across his coat. Her stomach tightened. "You're hurt." "I'm cold." "You're bleeding." "That too." Elena stared at him. Every sensible thought in her head told her to get inside, lock the door, and call emergency services. She didn't know this man. She lived alone, and something about him frightened her. Even half frozen, there was an authority in his voice that didn't match his condition. "I'm calling an ambulance." His hand shot forward. Elena jumped. He hadn't touched her, but the sudden movement startled her. "No ambulance." "Then I'm calling the police." "Especially not the police." Elena tightened her fingers around her phone. "That's not suspicious at all." His eyes lifted. For the first time, Elena saw them clearly. Gray, cold, alert, much too alert for a man who looked moments away from collapsing. "Please," he said again. This time there was no command in his voice, just exhaustion. Elena looked toward her apartment, then toward the deserted street. Her building stood above a closed laundromat in one of the cheapest neighborhoods in Belarusa City. At this hour, nobody was coming to help. She hated herself for what she was about to do. "If you murder me," she muttered, "I'm going to be extremely annoyed." The corner of his mouth moved. "I'll try to avoid it." Elena slipped beneath his arm. He was enormous. "Seriously? What? Why couldn't you be a small, mysterious stranger?" He almost laughed. Together, they stumbled through the doorway. And if you already know Elena is making either the bravest or worst decision of her life, subscribe now, because before this night is over, she's going to discover exactly who she just invited into her home. Getting him upstairs nearly destroyed her. Her apartment was on the 3rd floor, and the elevator had been broken since October. By the time Elena pushed open her door, she was gasping. "Couch!" The stranger barely made it. He collapsed onto the cushions. Elena locked the door and turned around. Her apartment suddenly seemed even smaller with him inside it. One couch, one chipped coffee table, a tiny television she'd bought secondhand, an electric heater that worked whenever it felt charitable. A pile of unpaid bills sat beside a photograph of Elena and her late grandmother. The stranger noticed everything, even injured. He observed the room like a man trained never to enter a place without understanding every exit. Elena noticed that. She didn't like it. "Coat off." He looked at her. "Excuse me. I need to see where you're bleeding." "You're a doctor?" "I worked as a nursing assistant until the clinic closed 3 months ago." His expression changed slightly. "So you're unemployed?" "Thank you for reminding me." Elena helped him remove the coat. Underneath was a ruined white shirt and an injury along his side. She exhaled. "You need a hospital." "No. You keep saying that like it changes reality." "It changes what happens next." Elena studied him. "Who are you?" The stranger leaned back. "Nobody. People who are nobody usually don't wear watches worth more than this entire building." His eyes dropped toward his wrist. He slowly removed the watch. Elena immediately stepped backward. "I don't want it. I wasn't offering it." "Good." He placed it on the table. "What's your name?" Elena hesitated. "Elena." His gaze remained on her. "Last name?" "You're lucky you got Elena." Another faint smile. "Elena, then?" "And you?" There was a pause. "Adrian." She waited. Nothing else came. "Of course." Mysterious Adrian. Elena brought her small first aid box from the bathroom. There wasn't much inside. Bandages. Antiseptic. Pain reliever. Medical tape. She cleaned and dressed the injury as carefully as she could. Adrian barely reacted. That frightened her more than if he'd screamed. People weren't supposed to be that calm while injured. What happened? An argument. Elena stared at the wound. Your friends have aggressive disagreements. They are my friends. That's reassuring. Outside, thunder rolled somewhere beyond the snowstorm. The lights flickered, then went out. Elena closed her eyes. You have got to be kidding me. The apartment fell silent. A second later, the emergency lights from the street painted the room in pale orange. Elena found candles. When she returned, Adrian was standing beside the window. Sit down. He glanced over his shoulder. You're bossy. You're injured. I've been worse. Something in the way he said it made Elena believe him. She lit the candles. The room filled with soft, uncertain light. Adrian watched her place another blanket on the couch. You do this often? Invite suspicious bleeding men into my apartment? Yes. Every Thursday. He looked at her. Elena sighed. No, obviously not. Then why me? She stopped. Nobody had asked her that. She looked at the photograph beside the bills. My grandmother died during a winter storm. Adrian's expression became still. She collapsed outside a pharmacy. People thought somebody else would help. Elena swallowed. By the time somebody did, it was too late. She turned away. So, when I saw you, you couldn't walk past. No. Adrian looked at her for several seconds. Something unreadable moved behind those gray eyes. You should have. Elena frowned. What? He didn't answer. Instead, he looked toward the window. A black vehicle moved slowly down the street. Adrian immediately extinguished the candle nearest him. Elena froze. What are you doing? Turn off the others. What? Elena. His voice had changed. Gone was the exhausted stranger. This voice belonged to someone else. Someone accustomed to being obeyed. Now, Elena blew out the candles. The apartment went dark. The vehicle stopped across the street. Adrian moved away from the window. Do you have another exit? Fire escape. Where? Bedroom. He crossed the apartment. Elena grabbed his arm. Wait. Adrian looked down at her hand. Who is outside? I don't know. You're lying. Yes. The answer was so casual that Elena released him. You need to leave. I intend to. No. I mean now. Adrian glanced toward the window again. If I leave through the front door and they're looking for me, they'll know I was here. Elena's anger disappeared. He met her eyes. Go into your bathroom. Lock the door. No. Elena, this is my apartment, which is precisely why you should do what I'm telling you. She crossed her arms. Maybe you don't understand how being broke works. When you only have one apartment, you're extremely protective of it. For the first time, Adrian genuinely smiled. It transformed his face. For half a second, Elena could almost imagine he was ordinary. Then headlights swept across the ceiling. Adrian's smile disappeared. He moved quickly. Despite his injury, he crossed the room, reached the bedroom, and opened the window leading to the fire escape. Elena followed. You'll freeze. I'll survive. You don't know that. He stopped. Neither spoke. Snow drifted through the open window. Adrian reached inside his coat and removed a small silver object. Elena tensed, but it was only a ring. Heavy, black stone, an unusual crest engraved around it. He placed it in her palm. What is this? Insurance. Against what? Me. Before Elena could ask another question, Adrian climbed onto the fire escape. Wait. He looked back. Am I ever going to see you again? Something changed in his expression. I hope not. Then he disappeared into the snow. Elena stood at the window long after he was gone. The black vehicle eventually drove away. At 6:17 the next morning, electricity returned. At 6:20, Elena discovered Adrian had left his watch behind. At 6:24, someone began pounding on her front door. She froze. Elena Marlowe? A man's voice. Police. Her heart jumped. She opened the door only as far as the chain allowed. Two officers stood outside. Behind them was a tall man in a dark overcoat. He didn't look like police. Miss Marlowe, the older officer asked, did you see anyone unusual around the building last night? No. The man in the overcoat studied her. Are you sure? Elena looked at him. His eyes were fixed on her apartment. Who are you? He smiled. Someone looking for a friend. Elena's fingers tightened around the door. I didn't see anyone. The officer nodded. There's been trouble in the area. Keep her door locked. I always do. She shut the door. Only then did she realize she had been holding her breath. Her phone buzzed. Unknown number. She opened the message. Don't leave your apartment. Elena stared at it. Another message appeared. And don't trust the man in the overcoat. Her hands went cold. She typed, Adrian? 3 dots appeared, then disappeared. No answer. Elena hurried to the window. The officers were getting into their patrol car. The man in the overcoat remained on the sidewalk. Slowly, he looked up, directly at her window. Elena stepped back. Her phone buzzed again. Lock the window. This time she did exactly what she was told. By 8 o'clock, Elena was pacing. By 9, she had convinced herself she'd imagined half the previous night. At 9:15, she remembered the ring. She retrieved it from her pocket and photographed the crest. Then she searched it online. Nothing. She tried describing the symbol. Still nothing. Finally, she photographed Adrian's watch and searched the manufacturer's name. Her mouth fell open. The watch was worth more than $70,000. No. She pushed away from the table. Who was this man? Then her phone displayed a breaking news notification. Bellarosa businessman missing after midnight attack. Elena opened it. A photograph loaded. She stopped breathing. Adrian, except the man in the photograph didn't look like the stranger who had shivered on her couch. He stood outside a courthouse in a black suit, surrounded by men wearing dark coats. The article identified him as Adrian Valeni, 33-year-old head of Valeni Holdings, a private logistics and construction empire. Elena kept reading. Rumors had surrounded the Valeni family for decades. Investigations. Missing witnesses. Organized crime allegations that never resulted in convictions. A sentence near the bottom made Elena's stomach drop. Law enforcement sources reportedly considered Adrian Valeni one of the most powerful figures in Belarus's criminal underworld. Elena slowly lowered the phone. No. The broke girl who couldn't pay next month's rent had just given shelter to the most feared mafia boss in the city. Her phone rang. Unknown number. She nearly dropped it. She answered. Hello. Elena. Adrian. His voice was stronger now. You lied to me. I gave you my first name. You forgot to mention you're apparently the reason half the city is terrified. That rarely makes good conversation. Are you a mafia boss? Silence. Elena. That's a yes. You need to listen carefully. No, you need to listen. There were police here. Some creepy man was staring through my door, and according to the internet, you make people disappear. Don't believe everything you read. Which part? Another pause. Some of it. Elena closed her eyes. Fantastic. Are you alone? Yes. Stay that way. Why? Because the men who attacked me last night know somebody helped me. Elena's anger vanished. What? They don't know who. Yet. Adrian didn't answer. She understood. Yet. Elena, take the ring I gave you. She looked at it. What about it? Keep it with you. Why? Because anybody loyal to my family will recognize it. And anybody who hates your family? Adrian went silent. Elena's stomach dropped again. Oh, that's wonderful. A noise came from downstairs. The building door opening. Footsteps entered the stairwell. Elena. Adrian's voice sharpened. Someone's coming upstairs. How many? I don't know. Go to the bedroom. Elena moved quickly. Lock the door. She did. Fire escape? Outside the window. Don't use it unless I tell you. The footsteps reached the 3rd floor. Stopped. Then someone knocked. 3 slow knocks. Elena stood completely still. Miss Marlowe. The man in the overcoat. She covered her mouth. Adrian heard him through the phone. His voice became frighteningly calm. Do not answer that door. The man knocked again. I only want to ask you a few questions. Elena whispered. What does he want? Me. And he thinks I know where you are. He thinks you know something. The doorknob moved. Elena's pulse exploded. He's trying the door. Stay in the bedroom. Adrian. I'm coming. You're injured. That isn't your problem anymore. The front door shook beneath a heavy impact. Elena backed toward the window. Another impact. The cheap frame groaned. Adrian. 2 minutes. I don't think I have 2 minutes. The bedroom suddenly felt impossibly small. Elena opened the window. Freezing air rushed inside. She stepped onto the fire escape. Below her, tires screamed. 3 black SUVs turned into the street. Doors opened almost before the vehicle stopped. Men in dark coats emerged. Elena couldn't tell whether she'd just been rescued or surrounded. Then the front door of her apartment burst open. She heard footsteps. The bedroom handle turned. Elena climbed down 1 level. The window above her opened. The man in the overcoat appeared. There you are. Elena moved faster. Stop. She ignored him. She reached the 2nd floor landing. A figure appeared below. Elena froze. Black coat. Broad shoulders. Dark hair. Adrian. He stood at the bottom of the fire escape, looking nothing like the dying stranger she dragged through the snow hours earlier. Men surrounded him. Not one moved until he did. Not one spoke until he spoke. The entire street seemed to belong to him. Adrian looked up. Elena. For the first time, she understood. The expensive watch. The command in his voice. The men hunting him. The ring. The fear attached to his name. She hadn't saved a helpless stranger. She had saved a king who ruled a world she had never known existed. Come down, Adrian said. The man above Elena shouted. Don't move. Adrian's gaze lifted past her. Whatever warmth had been in his face disappeared. The men surrounding him immediately became alert. Elena realized something terrifying. Adrian didn't have to shout. He didn't have to threaten anyone. One look was enough. Elena, he repeated quietly. Come to me. She descended. When her feet reached the pavement, Adrian caught her arm to steady her. She pulled away immediately. Don't. His hand dropped. You're angry. You brought this to my home. I know. I had nothing, Adrian. He frowned. What? Elena's voice cracked. I was already losing everything. My job. My apartment. I had $11 left, but at least the life I had was mine. Adrian stared at her. And then I helped you. The man on the fire escape disappeared back through the window. Adrian's people began moving. Elena didn't ask what they were doing. She didn't want to know. I wish I'd never opened that door, she whispered. Something almost painful crossed Adrian's face. But when he spoke, his voice remained steady. So do I. Elena blinked. He stepped closer, but didn't touch her. Because now they know your face. Her anger turned to fear. And that means... It means your apartment isn't safe. I'm not going anywhere with you. You don't have to trust me. I don't. Good. That surprised her. Adrian looked toward the building. Trust the fact that last night somebody wanted me gone badly enough to turn half this city upside down. Today, they learned you kept me alive. A black sedan stopped beside them. A man opened the rear door. Elena didn't move. Adrian removed his coat. Before she could protest, he placed it around her shoulders. It was still warm. You were shivering when I found you, she whispered. Adrian looked down at her. And you opened your door anyway. His expression hardened as he looked toward the apartment. Now it's my turn. Elena stared at the waiting car. Every instinct told her getting inside would change her life forever. But the life she was trying to protect was already disappearing. She finally stepped toward the vehicle. Adrian followed. And as the door closed behind them, Elena saw something through the tinted glass that made her blood run cold. Across the street stood another man, watching, smiling, holding a photograph of Elena. Adrian saw him too. His entire body went still. Who is that? Elena whispered. For several seconds, Adrian said nothing. Then he turned toward the driver. Go! The sedan pulled away. Elena looked back through the rear window. The smiling man never moved. Adrian. His jaw tightened. Who was he? Adrian finally looked at her. And for the first time since she'd met him, Elena saw something in the mafia boss's eyes that frightened her more than anger. Fear. My brother, he said. Elena stared at him. I thought your brother was dead. So did I. Elena stared at Adrian. You thought your own brother was dead? Adrian looked through the tinted window, his expression unreadable. Darius disappeared 7 years ago. And nobody found him? People searched. The way Adrian said people made Elena decide not to ask what kind. Why would he attack you? Adrian didn't answer immediately. The sedan turned onto an elevated highway, leaving Elena's neighborhood behind. Finally, he said, because everything I have was supposed to be his. Elena frowned. The business. The family. Adrian's jaw tightened. Darius was the eldest. He was supposed to inherit everything. Then he disappeared after an attempt on my father's life. You thought he did it? My father did. And you? Adrian looked at her. I didn't know what to believe. The city blurred beyond the glass. 3 weeks later, they found Darius's car burned outside Bella Rosa. There was enough evidence inside for everyone to believe he hadn't survived. But he did. Yes. And now he's back. Yes. Elena folded her arms. This family really needs counseling. Adrian actually laughed. It was brief, but genuine. Then his expression hardened again. The man you saw wasn't standing outside your building by accident. What does he want with me? Nothing. She waited. Adrian exhaled. Not yet. That is not comforting. You want me to know he can reach you? Elena's anger returned. Because I helped you. Yes. She looked away. The sedan finally descended into an underground garage beneath a tower in the financial district. The moment the car stopped, security surrounded them. Elena followed Adrian into a private elevator. You live here? For now. You have temporary penthouses? Adrian glanced at her. Apparently. The elevator opened into a vast apartment overlooking the river. Elena stopped. Her entire apartment could have fit inside the living room 3 times. Glass walls, black stone floors, quiet lighting, no photographs, no clutter, nothing personal. This place looks like nobody actually lives here. Adrian walked toward the kitchen. I sleep here. That wasn't what I said. He ignored her. A man entered behind them. Tall, lean, perfectly dressed. This is Marcus Hale, Adrian said. Marcus nodded politely. Miss Marlowe. Elena narrowed her eyes. You already know my name. I know considerably more than your name. That sounds threatening. It wasn't meant to. Work on your delivery. Marcus almost smiled. Adrian turned toward him. Darius, we confirmed it. Something shifted in the room. Even Elena felt it. Marcus continued. He contacted 3 former Valeni captains this morning. 2 agreed to meet him, and the 3rd called us. Adrian nodded. Good. Elena looked between them. So what happens now? Neither man answered. That silence is becoming really irritating. Adrian turned to her. You stay here tonight. No. Elena. No. Marcus wisely stepped away. Elena walked closer to Adrian. You don't get to decide everything because you're surrounded by men who obey you. I decide what keeps you alive. You don't even know me. I know enough. You know I patched up your injury. I know you had almost nothing and still gave half your dinner to a stranger. Elena stopped. Adrian continued. I know you haven't spent the money I left. Her eyes narrowed. How do you know that? Because if you had, your landlord wouldn't have posted another eviction notice this morning. Elena's face flushed. You checked on me? I protected you. You investigated me. Yes. At least admit that's creepy. It was necessary. No, Adrian. Necessary is checking whether someone is armed. You apparently know my financial history. I need to know whether somebody could buy you. Elena went completely still. Adrian realized immediately that he'd chosen the wrong words. I didn't mean. Yes, you did. She stepped backward. You looked at my life and decided being broke made me a possible weakness. No, that's exactly what you said. Elena, the fact that I'm struggling doesn't mean I'm for sale. Adrian's expression changed. The mafia boss disappeared for just a second. What remained looked almost ashamed. I know. Elena turned away. Marcus cleared his throat. Adrian. He held out a tablet. A message was displayed across the screen. Bring the girl to the old Valeni Hotel. Midnight. Come alone. Below was a photograph. Elena's grandmother's grave. Her stomach dropped. What does that mean? Adrian took the tablet. His face became stone. It means Darius researched you too. Elena swallowed. Why photograph a grave? To prove he knows where your family is buried. That doesn't make sense. Marcus spoke carefully. It's psychological pressure. Adrian handed the tablet back. We're not going. Elena looked at him. If you don't, what happens? Nothing to you. You don't know that. Yes, I do. No. You thought your brother was dead until an hour ago. Adrian stared at her. She stepped closer. If he's been planning this for 7 years, maybe reacting exactly how he expects isn't smart. Marcus raised an eyebrow. Adrian's expression sharpened. What are you suggesting? I don't know yet. Elena, you said he wants me because I'm leverage. Yes. Then let him think I am. Adrian immediately shook his head. No, you didn't even hear the idea. There is no idea involving you entering that building. Why? Because I said so. Elena stared. Marcus quietly walked toward the opposite side of the room. Elena pointed after him. See? Even your own guy knows that was a terrible answer. Adrian lowered his voice. This isn't a game. I know. These people aren't going to scare you and send you home. I know. Then stop acting like you understand my world. Elena's expression hardened. I don't understand your world. She paused. But I understand what it's like when powerful people assume somebody with less money, less influence, and fewer choices is automatically weak. Adrian said nothing. I've spent years being underestimated, Elena continued. Employers, landlords, banks, people who think desperation means stupidity. She looked toward the tablet. Maybe your brother thinks the same thing. The silence lasted several seconds. Marcus returned. She has a point. Adrian glared at him. Marcus shrugged. You pay me for useful opinions. Elena almost smiled. 3 hours later, snow had started falling again. The abandoned Valeni Hotel stood beside the river. It had been closed for almost a decade. Its ballroom windows were boarded. Its stone entrance was covered in ice. Inside, Darius waited. Elena entered first. Her heart pounded so hard she could hear it. She wore Adrian's ring. That part had been her idea. Darius stood at the far end of the lobby. He looked like Adrian around the eyes, but the resemblance ended there. Where Adrian was controlled, Darius looked restless. Hungry. Miss Marlowe. Elena stopped several yards away. You really know how to make an introduction. Darius smiled. You're calmer than I expected. You threatened a graveyard. It wasn't very impressive. His smile faded slightly. Where's my brother? Not here. Darius laughed. He came. Elena's stomach tightened. He always comes when someone threatens something he considers his. I don't belong to Adrian. No. Darius stepped closer. You dragged him out of the snow. That doesn't make me property. You don't understand my brother. I'm starting to. Darius's eyes moved toward the ring on her hand. His expression changed. He gave you that? Yes. Interesting. That single word unsettled Elena more than shouting would have. Darius circled slowly. Our father gave that ring to Adrian the day he chose him over me. Elena frowned. I thought you disappeared after your father's attack. Darius smiled without humor. That's the story. Something clicked in Elena's mind. You didn't attack him. No. Adrian doesn't know. He never asked. A voice came from behind them. I asked for 7 years. Adrian stepped from shadows. Darius turned. For the first time, the smile disappeared. Brothers faced each other across the ruined lobby. Hello, Adrian. Darius. Elena slowly moved away. Darius laughed. You became exactly what he wanted. Adrian's voice remained calm. Why did you come back? To take back what was mine. You tried to kill me. I needed the city to believe you were vulnerable. You hurt people who had nothing to do with us. And you never did. Adrian went silent. Darius smiled. There he is, the righteous king. Elena watched Adrian's face. For the first time, she saw something beneath the confidence. Doubt. Darius was using history against him. You want the organization? Adrian asked. I want the truth remembered. Darius stepped closer. Our father knew, I discovered, he was stealing from his own partners. He framed me for the attack. You inherited everything while I spent 7 years proving I was alive. Adrian stared at him. Why didn't you contact me? Would you have believed me? Adrian didn't answer. Darius nodded. Exactly. Elena's phone vibrated once in her pocket. Marcus's signal. They had enough. The meeting had been recorded. Adrian looked at Elena. She gave the smallest nod. Darius noticed. His eyes narrowed. What did you do? Suddenly doors opened throughout the lobby. Marcus entered with security. Darius looked around, then laughed. You recorded me. Elena finally smiled. You underestimated the broke girl. Darius stared at her. That tiny distraction was enough. Adrian's people moved in. The confrontation ended quickly, without the chaos Darius had expected. Minutes later, police vehicles arrived. not officers connected to old family loyalties. A special organized crime task force Marcus had contacted through attorneys. Darius was taken into custody based on outstanding warrants, the attack on Adrian, and evidence gathered during his return. As he was led away, he looked back at his brother. "You think she's going to save you?" Adrian said nothing. Darius smiled. "She saved your life once." His gaze shifted toward Elena. "Eventually she'll realize monsters don't become good men because somebody opened a door." Then he was gone. By sunrise, the storm had stopped. Elena stood on Adrian's balcony watching light spread across Bellarosa. The city looked completely different from 40 floors above. Adrian joined her. For a while, neither spoke. Finally, Elena said, "Was he telling the truth about your father?" "Some of it." "What happens now?" "I find a rest." She nodded. "And me?" Adrian looked at her. "You go home." Elena turned. "That's it. You wanted your life back." "I did, and I'm giving it back." She studied him. Something felt different. There was no command in his voice. No decision made for her. Just an offer. Adrian continued. "Your rent is paid for 12 months. Elena immediately frowned. "I knew there was a catch." "Not by me." "What?" "The building has a hardship assistance fund now." She stared. "It didn't yesterday." "It does today." "Adrian, you aren't taking money from me. Your landlord is accepting a charitable housing grant, which you created." "Technically, Marcus created it." Elena almost laughed. "You're impossible." "So I've been told." "And my job?" "The clinic reopening across town needs assistance." She narrowed her eyes. "Did you buy the clinic?" "No." "Did Marcus?" "No." "Did one of your mysterious companies?" Adrian's silence answered. Elena shook her head. "You really don't know how normal people help each other, do you?" "I'm learning." That made her pause. Adrian removed something from his pocket. Her apartment key. He placed it in her hand. "No guards outside your building unless you ask." "Good. No one following you." "Better. No investigations." "Excellent." He looked at her. "And if you never want to see me again, I will respect that." Elena closed her fingers around the key. 2 days ago, she would have accepted immediately. But now she knew something she hadn't known when she dragged a stranger through the snow. Adrian Valenti was dangerous. He had enemies. He carried a history much heavier than the injury she'd treated. But she had also seen him choose not to force her. Seen him listen. Seen him admit when he was wrong. That didn't erase what he was. It simply made him human. Elena walked toward the elevator. The doors opened. She stepped inside. Adrian remained where he was. "Goodbye, Elena." The doors began closing. At the last second, Elena stuck her hand between them. They reopened. Adrian looked surprised. "You still owe me." He raised an eyebrow. "For what?" "My soup." Adrian stared. "You ate the last can." "I was injured. It was tomato basil." "I remember. That was the expensive one." A slow smile appeared on his face. Elena pressed the lobby button. "You're buying breakfast." Adrian walked into the elevator beside her. "Where?" "The diner near my building. I own 3 restaurants." "I didn't ask. What if the diner is terrible?" "It is." The elevator began descending. Adrian looked at her. "You're very strange. You were freezing outside my apartment, and you brought me inside. So who's stranger?" He had no answer. Elena smiled. "And if you've stayed with Elena from that freezing doorway all the way to this moment, subscribe to the channel, because sometimes the biggest stories begin with one decision nobody else would have made." Months later, Elena still lived in the same apartment. She refused Adrian's offer of anything larger. The front entrance finally had a proper lock. The heater had been replaced. The clinic where Elena worked was busier than she'd expected, offering affordable treatment to neighborhoods that had spent years without enough medical services. Elena pretended not to notice that Adrian's companies funded most of it. Adrian pretended not to notice that she knew. Their lives remained different. His world was meetings behind locked doors, security teams, complicated alliances, and family secrets that were still being uncovered. Hers was early shifts, crowded buses, patients who complained about needles, and evenings spent helping neighbors fill out medical forms. But every Thursday night, Adrian appeared at the little diner. No bodyguards inside. No expensive restaurant. No private chef. Just coffee. Tomato soup, when the diner had it, and two people talking across a scratched wooden table. One snowy evening, nearly a year after the night they met, Elena left work and found Adrian standing outside the clinic. Snow landed on the shoulders of his black coat. She stopped. "You have a car?" "Yes." "With heat?" "Yes." "And you're standing outside in the snow?" He looked at her. "I thought it worked the first time." Elena laughed. "You looked half dead the first time." A memorable introduction. She walked closer. "Are you shivering?" "Not yet." "Good." Elena opened the clinic door. Adrian raised an eyebrow. "What?" She smiled. "Get inside before I make the mistake of saving you again." This time Adrian smiled before crossing the threshold. The first night Elena opened her door, she believed she was helping a stranger survive until sunrise. She had no idea the stranger commanded half the city. She had no idea his enemies would learn her name. And she certainly had no idea that one small act of compassion would force a feared man to confront the brother he thought was dead, uncover the lies that built his empire, and finally understand something money and power had never taught him. Not every person who changes your life arrives looking important. Sometimes they're freezing on your doorstep. Sometimes you're the one who is almost nothing. And sometimes what you give when you have very little becomes the one thing nobody powerful can ever buy. So what was your favorite moment? When Elena discovered who Adrian really was, when she stood up to Darius, or when Adrian finally stopped trying to control every decision and let Elena choose for herself? Tell me in the comments. And if you enjoyed Elena and Adrian's story, like the video, share it with someone who loves suspenseful mafia stories, and subscribe with notifications turned on so you don't miss the next story. Because in Belarosa City, the snow may have stopped falling, but some doors, once opened, change everything forever.